Hello, 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 and welcome to World Cup Group B, breaking down the World Cup A Global Showdown by the Hooligan soccer team with myself, Gary Stryker, and the Quebec Canadian sporting, t-shirt sporting partner in crime, the Hooligan.
Yeah, let's just go with Canadian. I'm not Quebecois, and my French is terrible. So no, I'm not going to try and bother, nor am I going to offend any Canadians by butchering their national anthem. So we're not going to go with that obvious meme. So sorry to disappoint. We are going to talk about your national team, though, which, because Group B is here, ladies and gentlemen. Group B.
Indeed. And so if you have been with us on this journey, of course, go and check us out at hooligan-soccer.com. Please obviously follow, like, subscribe on this and share it with everyone as well as we go on this journey into the group phases of the World Cup in the run-up to it. 60-something days to go as well, so getting exciting as the days kick by.
65. You've forgotten already? My goodness.
No, well, it's yes, I have. There's a lot going on at the moment. So 65 days at the time of this recording. So when you get this into the journey, we're going to break down players, teams, matches, and obviously some sort of look at some possible outcomes as well. So,
correct, yes.
Hooligan, do you want to break down who are the lucky teams that have qualified in?
Yeah, I mean, this one, we've got Canada, who qualified as co-host, right? So they are one of the host nations, and so they're in like Flynn, as they say, and then they have been joined by Switzerland, Qatar, and the latest group to, in fact, the last team to qualify for the World Cup. Nope, that's not true. They weren't the last team to qualify. There was another one, but one of the last teams to qualify, Bosnia and Herzegovina, who, congratulations on winning their UEFA play-in Path A, if I am not mistaken. And happily for some and disappointingly for others, knocking out Italy in the process. So this was the spot that nearly everybody was convinced would be Italy's. And if it had been Italy, I think we'd be having a very different conversation and recording a very different type of podcast right now, Gary. But because of their failure to qualify for the third World Cup in a row, leading to mass resignations throughout the Italian football, executive corps. Like literally everybody just quit.
They all resigned in shame. Yes, yeah, the whole leadership team, because this was Italy's third World Cup in a row that they failed to qualify for, which is quite an embarrassment on the national level.
It's pretty much unparalleled. I don't think of there's been so few truly great footballing nations that have managed to completely screw it up so badly for so long. Congratulations, Italy. Well done.
Well, okay, but we're not there to gloss on the.
We're not here to badmouth Italy. That's done.
No,
so now let's move on to the next thing and celebrate those that did achieve.
Indeed. So we have, I think, Canada, obviously one of the other hosts, along with Mexico and, of course, the US. They will be playing their opening game, I believe, against Bosnia in Toronto at BMO Field, if my research is correct, and that's
I believe your research is sound there. Yes,
that's wonderful to hear. Thank you. And this will be obviously Canada their first home game, or first host game ever of a World Cup as well, and finally, hopefully, their sort of perceived golden generation, Canada's golden generation, can possibly sort of advance and get through these groups, which would be obviously exciting to see. And then there is also, of course, Switzerland. Switzerland have a reputation as being giant killers, having knocked out France and Spain in recent tournaments as well. So they are definitely as well a dangerous team, not to be underestimated in any way. They have Qatar, of course, Qatar or Qatar, depending on obviously sort of which side of the pond your accent hails from, were host of the last World Cup in 2022. Little personal plug, I was there and I had a very wonderful time. And I was actually at Qatar's last game when they lost to, I believe it was Senegal, and got knocked out in the group phases. And then, of course, late entrants, Bosnia and Herzegovina as well, who are actually very, very tough. So yeah, very tough. Anything from your side, Hooligan, here that you think would be worth sort of mentioning and bringing up?
Well, fun facts. This is the only group that has two flags that are not that sort of do not have the traditional you know, dimensions of flags. Qatar has a very long and thin flag. And Switzerland, of course, is the only nation that has a square flag. So if you're looking at it from a perspective of flags, there you go. This is the group. This is
Wow.
the group where you're going into it. All right. Um, and then I have this to say. Canada, you lucky bastards. I mean, honestly, this was one of the greatest draws that you guys could have had. In all the universe of all the things that came in, you got a really good group. So don't muck it up. I mean, it is you have the chance now to go in and get your first, you know, non-group phase elimination. You can make it. You can do it. You can go to the round of 32. It's well within your sights. Not only did they get a great draw, but their schedule is extraordinarily kind. Opening against Bosnia is awesome. They're going to have a ravenous crowd. BMO Field is going to be explosive. All right. It is going to be all Maple Leaves. It is going to be all Canada. There's going to be a small amount of Bosnians in there. That's fine. But they're, yeah, that energy, that vibe, I think is going to propel them into potentially a win. But really, all they need to do is draw. I hate to say it, but Canada's game plan is to simply not lose, because they should beat Qatar. It's not only a must win, it's a should win, right? They absolutely need to mop the floor with Qatar, which they should be able to do. If you get a draw against Bosnia, you get a win against Qatar. Their final game against Switzerland doesn't matter. Best case scenario, Switzerland's already won 2, and they don't care. I'm not saying that the Swiss are going to throw anything, because that's not their style. They don't. But at least a Switzerland team that doesn't have a vested interest in beating you is a far preferable scenario than a Switzerland team that comes in with their jaws set and their intent to outmuscle, out-hustle, and beat the living crap out of you, which is how Switzerland normally does it, right? So, yeah, Canada, it's yours to bottle. It's yours to mess up.
Yeah, I agree. And with the home fans as well, there definitely should be that tailwind as well. We mentioned about this in the previous group with Mexico. Home nations generally always do get propelled through by their fans as well. And obviously, again, they do have a perceived golden generation. They have some fantastic players in that cohort as well, which we'll break down in a moment. I agree with you. Qatar are probably going to be the whipping boys of this group as well, and probably don't stand much of a chance. So then I think the question is do Bosnia or Switzerland go through? I think Switzerland probably do have quite a strong group of players as well. So we should absolutely.
I think they win. They win the group. I think they win the group, and I think they win the group handily. They're going to get at least 2 wins. And it's entirely possible that they're going to sweep the entire group.
Yeah. Okay.
That is a very real possibility that they sweep the entire.
Okay. Any other interesting statistical facts? I think you've really dug deep with the breaking down the flags there, HOOLIGAN as well. So I think I was pretty impressed by those.
It's not really digging deep; it's just looking at flags. But
it's just knowing your flags.
That hard. It's not that hard to tell that the flags are a little funky. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So any players from these groups as well that stand out with you, both sort of young, old, or anything like that you think would be worth watching if you're doing a fantasy team, or if you're looking at making some bets?
Here's the thing. So Canada didn't have the greatest international set of friendlies, right? They had 2 draws in their last 2 games over the international break. They tied Iceland 2-2, and they drew Tunisia 2-2. And the Iceland game was somewhat curious and interesting because they went down really early. By the 21st minute, they were down by 2. So they're facing a 2-0 deficit going in at halftime, and they come back, and then they end up, evening it out. But they did need 2 penalties to do it. That's a bit of a red flag for me, right? In terms of their performance. And then, drawing Tunisia 0-0, fine. I don't know whether any side was really into it. The first game shows that they've got some steel and some fire in their belly, which I think is fantastic. But again, this was a Canada team that was missing its captain. right? Alfonso Davies did not play in these two friendlies. He was recovering from injury. And the good news is he is back. He played a few minutes for Bayern in their last game, got an assist. And for all intents and purposes, looks to be back in form. In fact, he should play to the Champions League. I'll expect to see him getting a few minutes there. So he'll be back. That's great. It's funny. I think the international break games exemplified what I had said. They just didn't lose. This is what Canada needs to do, right? So great. They've got one friendly coming up. They're going to be playing Uzbekistan on the 1st of June, and then they go straight into the World Cup. In terms of their players, it's about Alfonso Davies, right? He is the most important. He's the most important player for Canada right now, and then that's closely followed by Jonathan David,
The Juventus striker.
The Juventus
Yep.
striker.
Yep.
He needs to have a really good, really strong season. Or excuse me, very strong showing. And the other guy that I really like is a young Canadian named Ali Ahmed, who used to play for Vancouver, came up through the Vancouver Academy, was just transferred over to Norwich City. But he's a zippy, pacey winger, and can be causing all kinds of problems. Those are those are like the three. They're the prong of the Canadian attack, and if they can do the business, Canada should be looking at around a 32.
Yeah, I agree. They're good. Yeah, Alfonso Davies is definitely going to be their sort of their star player, and as well, hopefully he can get fit and get his form back up and running as well for sure. In terms of Bosnia, in terms of players to watch out for, I mean, for me, and I think I shared this with you as well previously as well, there is one player that I think just has the most incredible story and journey to get to this, which is 40-year-old Edin Dzeko. Now,
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of you may be familiar with, obviously, he played for Manchester City and he's played in Italy as well. But I pulled up some of these statistics about him, which is just fascinating when you think about this. Okay, he was born, obviously, in Bosnia, in Sarajevo, into obviously the civil war that was going on there as well. And I've been to Sarajevo for a wedding many years ago. I mean, it's just the city just riddled with bullet holes all over the building because the fighting was so horrific there. He refused to play for the Czech Republic and stuck to his guns and decided to play for Bosnia. Unlike there's some other players who have Bosnian heritage. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, for example, is of Bosnian descent, but obviously went with Sweden. He won the
He grew
Bundesliga.
up in Sweden. Why was that?
Yeah, no, he grew up in Sweden as well. No,
Can't be hating on Zlatan for playing for Sweden.
It's just a reference of how some people, obviously, there's this is Bosnian heritage around there. Obviously, he won the only Bundesliga title that Wolfsburg have ever won. He was part of Manchester City's first ever Premier League winning team as well. He became a champion, obviously, with Inter Milan in Italy, and then he qualified they were in the 26 World Cup, and obviously he qualified, right? He scored over 400 career goals. He led Bosnia to their first 2 World Cups in the history of their country. And also as well, he's getting very close to promoting Schalke back into the Bundesliga because they're currently not in the first German tier. They're in the second one. So he will be 40 years old playing his second World Cup. And if you just think about the story and the journey that this has taken, it's a truly, truly remarkable story. And then obviously, of course, beating Italy in that dramatic fashion that they did to get through is just magical. So I'm certainly a bit more romantic here in this sense, but I really do hope that he is able to score and get on the score sheet, and definitely what a wonderful journey that he has taken.
Yeah, I think. Listen, I watched that Bosnia game. They're not a bad team. I mean, no team that makes the World Cup is bad in the context of their journey to the World Cup. Let me just also be very clear. But Bosnia in particular, like you said, yeah, they were not the better team against Wales until they became the better team against Wales. And I mean, and that's a key thing, right? Because teams can be poor, right? You can not play well, but if you don't let the game get away from you, in a lot of cases, this was an example of Wales allowing the game to slip through their fingers, right? And so that I think what was the problem there. Well, once they beat once they took Wales down, I think I knew that Italy was gonna be feeling the pain.
They're in trouble. Yeah. Okay. Bosnia also have this very young midfielder who plays for Red Bull Salzburg. And forgive me if I butcher the enunciation, but his name is Kerim Alajbegovic, I believe, a young 18-year-old as well, showing a lot of promise. And obviously, if he's in the Red Bull sort of Salzburg Academy, he's got a lot of promise as well. So yeah, I think in terms of players to watch out for, those ones would definitely be the two that would be capturing my eye, and I'll be sort of looking out for them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Bosnia as a nation, they don't have an internal league that has any standing whatsoever. So they all go out. They all export. It truly is a nation of expats in terms of its footballing. And so, yeah, you are correct to talk about Alej Begovic, right? I think he could be one of those breakout stars if Bosnia makes this stupendous run, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is probably going to be at his feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I should say it'll be with his build, and it will be with Dzeko's headers.
And his experience, exactly. Yes. Looking into the Qatari roster and the Qatari squad, there's not any. Yeah, I was going to say there's not anyone here who hugely jumps out at me. They do happen to have while Bosnia have a 40-year-old in Edin Dzeko, Qatar have a 42-year-old Sebastian Soraya, who's obviously one of their strikers and one of their leading strikers as well. So we'll see how that
no longer rostered,
well,
no longer plays for the team.
Is he not there? Well, we'll see if he gets picked. We're still yet to see. You never know.
I mean, he could make the final roster, but he was not selected and has not participated in the last few friendlies.
He's not participated. Yeah, it was worth calling out that. But yeah, I agree. The Qataris, I don't have much hope for the Qataris to be able to qualify out of this group, to be perfectly honest. And then breaking it down.
I don't either. And interesting to note are the what I like to call are the expat or I should say nationalized Qataris. Right?
The imports,
so, yeah. Pedro Miguel, Lucas Mendez, Niall Mason, like these are all players that have accepted Qatari citizenship, right? For the benefit of playing there, and curiously, the entirety, every single player on the Qatari team that was selected for the last two friendlies all plays inside either the Qatari League or the Saudi League or the UAE League, right? So they do all play within within that particular area. It is quite geographically contiguous, so to speak. And here's the thing, X factor though. I agree with you. I don't think Qatar has a snowball's chance in the desert, but they do have a coach. Julian Lopetegui is their manager. So that guy's world class. So if anybody can do amazing things with middle of the road talent, it's him. So don't discount.
Okay.
Don't discount.
I'll keep an eye out for that. Yeah. And then the final roster in this group as well is Switzerland. I mean, again, similar to the Bosnians, there's not many young players in this cohort. They're quite experienced and sort of quite accomplished, which I think is to their advantage. And again, they're not over the hill and old. Their sort of average age probably looks as though it's going to be in that sort of like mid 20s, sort of 25, 26 range.
Try higher. By my math,
maybe a little 28, 29, maybe. Okay,
it's 20. Somewhere. It's at 27, which is 27.5 right now, which is high.
Yeah,
that's a very high average. When you look at rosters, that's high.
But with that obviously comes experience as well. So some notable players to jump out for me. The biggest one I think is Granit Xhaka, former Arsenal, and I believe also played for Liverpool, currently at Sunderland at 33 years of age. There is also Denis Zakaria, who plays for Monaco. Also as well, they have Manuel Akanji, who plays for Inter at 30 years of age as well. Again, these are, I would say sort of, household names who have played at the highest level in the best leagues as well. So they are pretty
I particularly like Dan Ndoye from Nottingham Forest. He's been a really, really important player for Forest this season.
Yeah.
He's one of their younger players at 25. So I think he's and to be fair, he is a prime candidate for transfer this summer, right? He's his value has skyrocketed since he started putting in goals and making assists for Forest. So I think he's got to have a really, really good. He could have a really, really good World Cup, and then also Noah Okafor from Leeds,
Yeah.
right? Another person to keep an eye on. So yeah, Switzerland is going to be weird because people don't know Switzerland, and I think they're going to be surprised because I think they're gonna people are going to watch them play and go, oh wow, these guys are good.
Yeah. No, they
And they shouldn't be surprised because yes, they are good.
yeah. No, they're a good outfit as well. The Swiss fans as well are great fun. Again, at the Qatar World Cup, I did go to a Switzerland game, and they all had the cowbells as well, and the atmosphere was very good against them. They were very good.
They do love their cowbells. Yeah,
indeed. So I think potentially sort of coming through this group, I think Switzerland should be favourites to top this group and sort of
absolutely,
get through it
100%.
as well.
Yeah,
And then
I'd be shocked if they didn't win it.
Yeah, I think it would be definitely a sort of a shock if that was to happen. And then looking at the other two, I don't think Qatar have much of a chance. And then it's either Bosnia or Canada, and depending on how they play, my gut tells me host nation, golden generation. Hopefully, the wind will be at their back.
Yeah, I think it should be Canada. Again, that opening match will be so important for Canada.
Yeah.
If they can just get a draw,
at least, yes.
If they can just get a draw and they can beat Qatar, then it's like, okay, we've got ourselves a chance. Then they can really bring it against Switzerland. And like I said, hopefully Switzerland by that point is already kicking back, right? Is already kicking back with 2 wins and thinking we don't have to do that much. And they won't be quite as sharp or quite as ruthless. And Canada can snatch one from them.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Hooligan, well, as always, thank you. That's the end of Group B. Please like, follow, subscribe, share. Join us for Group C, and as we carry on this journey.
Oh, Canada. All right. Peace.